Alright, let's do another album review. Let's go overanalyze an album. Because that's what's fun, because we're all rock nerds. If you're watching this, you're a rock nerd. You didn't click on this for nothing. It's Kiss, Soundboard series, for the Mid-Hudson Civic Center, Poughkeepsie, November 1984. Why did they put this out? Because this is I think this is the only recording that they have of the Mark St. John lineup, because they only played 2.5 shows. They started the tour with Bruce Kulick, because Mark St. John did the album Animalize in Europe. He came in, Mark St. John had like arthritis in his hand. He came in to do half a show because his arm's feeling better. He does one show the night before this. No, this is his first full show. And then he does Binghamton the next night. And then they fire him like a week later, like December 2nd. So the fun part about Kiss is that we can overanalyze their stuff. This is a soundboard, basically a bootleg that they put out. So that's the fun stuff. This isn't meant to be like a great album for your. It's not meant to be like Alive or Alive 2, even Alive 3, or even Alive 4, or what was it, the Vegas one, or Unplugged, something like that. The good official ones where they put all the production in and re-recorded everything. No, this is you get them raw. Although I think for the best Kiss live show, get the Hot in the Shade. It's on YouTube. I think it was a radio broadcast of them in Detroit. I think that everybody says the Hot in the Shade was the best set list. I think so too. This set list kind of small. It's got 18 songs, but it says 18 songs, but it's like 5 or 6 are just like tracks for like solos and things. So I wrote a whole bunch of notes on here. Start off, I wrote, this release is just for nerds. That was my note. Because why would they put? Because Mark St. John's out. They also, from the Soundboard series, they had that short run of shows that they did with Ace and Eric Singer from the end of the reunion tour. And then they had another one. It was like late 70s shows. They did one from the beginning of the reunion tour. And then some late 70s. Whoops. They did some late 70s shows, so you can actually hear what they really sounded like before they like re-recorded everything on Alive 2. It's kind of cool. Didn't listen to that one yet. Did listen to the one with Ace and Eric singing. That was pretty good. But that's one thing. The one thing about like this show, because there's also one of the flaws on here. It's just somebody put a cassette tape in the soundboard, recorded the show. There's no going back fixing it, no going back remixing all the stuff. Could they do that now? AI and all the other computers? I don't know, because they didn't really try that hard on this one. I'll say that. Because you don't really hear the crowd too much other than from like the microphones on stage, and which like the other ones did, the Ace and Eric Singer one. They had better stuff. They didn't go back fix the stuff. The background vocals on this, Paul's like way far away from like the microphone half the time. You can't really hear it. They probably could have bumped that up if they had like an actual real master tape. Set list is kind of strange. Start Detroit Rock City, of course. Cold Gin. 270 songs. Which there's not a lot. There's a lot of songs missing. I thought they always played forever and ever and ever and ever. I'm not like a complete scholar on like Kiss like set lists, but I'm digging deep because I'm not getting a new album, so you got to just keep going back and listen to as many live albums as possible to get like something fresh out of our old classic bands. You're not getting them. Oh, also, why did I? Because I live in Poughkeepsie now. Mid-Hudson Civic Center is like 6 minutes down this road, and I actually should have filmed from that parking lot instead of Stop and Shop. Probably would have made a better video. But that also plays into why I also wanted Yes, Paul Stanley makes a bunch of like local references on this, which I thought was pretty funny. But let's get back to the set list. I'll talk about that later. Fits Like a Glove. That was on Look It Up. Heaven's on Fire, a current song for that tour. Guitar solo. This is where you kind of want to hear what like Mark St. John had to offer. He doesn't have like a whole lot of room to like strut his stuff or do anything, because there's only 2 songs from his album on there, and he gets his little solo spot, and the solo spot's doesn't really blow me away. It's like, all right, when he's doing like Detroit Rock City, there's no real room for improvisation on that. So it's like at the end of the song where they're fading out, he can solo away, but it seems like he's kind of low in the mix. It's nothing like I can compare and contrast him versus Ace, because it's pretty brief. And I never actually listened to Vinnie Vincent live, other than like him going crazy extra long, pissing off Gene and Paul. That's the only like live stuff I ever listened to, but I kind of want to hear stuff from like the Creatures of the Night tour. But he kind of taps a little bit, does a little hammer-on bit, and then goes into playing some extremely distorted riff. The recording his guitar is I couldn't tell what riff he was playing, if it was something new or whatever. It was just leading into the Under the Gun. And then they do War Machine, drum solo. It's all right. Young and Wasted. It's incomplete. They flip the tape because it starts the song and then it's like you're about to get to the chorus and then it just skips to the ending. The edit they did to try and fix them flipping the tape sounds good. It just sounds like the song comes off weird. The only other incomplete songs, Rock and Roll All Night, they just fade out after. You don't hear them just like do a big finale. They're already going on and playing with the crowd for like 4 minutes anyway. You didn't need the end there. Bass solo from Gene, pretty standard. It's the same one he does all the time. Gene, all right, Paul's vocals on this. Let's talk about Gene. Every time I hear Gene, he never falters. Say what you will about him. Say what you will about Gene. He's very, very professional live. That's my Gene impression. But his speaking voice is completely different than his singing voice. Yeah. I guess since he's always like singing yeah like low, he's not missing any high notes or nothing like that. Paul is like all over the place. You thought that was like a recent thing where him having to resort to like lip syncing? I mean, his vocals weren't always spot, like, yeah, he could hit high notes back then, but like he was like all over the place because he's running around and stuff back then. Especially at this concert, not his best performance, but it's all right. It's all right. This is the flaws that you kind of want to hear. You want to hear him like do everything perfect on a live, but I also want like the warts and all. I want to hear the real stuff, like on this. Yeah, Paul. He opens half. I remember this. Here's a note I wrote. He starts when I was like just flipping through the songs, skimming through them again. I noticed he comes. Here's a little song for you. Here's a little, and then skip again. Here's a little song. He does that all the time. At least the first half of the concert, he did that. Yeah, but you can see kind of why they got rid of like Mark St. John after this. Like, he didn't do anything all that special, so bring back Bruce. He was already doing the tour. They liked him better. I can't really. There's not a whole lot to like. Yeah, he did the album. It was good. Did it blow my mind? No. Was it going to Kiss best? No. It was somewhere in the middle. I checked out some of Mark St. John's later stuff. He did a band called White Tiger with Dave Donato from, anybody is a big Black Sabbath nerd, he was the guy after Ian Gillan, but before Glenn Hughes, when it was still Bill Ward, Geezer Butler, Tony Iommi. They're still trying to do this, keep the band going after Born Again. Didn't work out. Band broke up before Tony goes back and does Eternal Idol. So that's where these two guys, like, you know, they had their shot and it didn't work out for them. Didn't work out for Mark St. John. I don't know whatever happened to White Tiger. I don't know if they were like a good opening act. I know they put out an album. Were they just playing clubs? Did they get to be like on a big opening act tour? Probably not. You don't hear much of them after that. Local references, Paul's like, I know Poughkeepsie. I used to work in Hopewell Junction, which is like, 10 miles up the road, up by the Dutchess Mall back in the day. Local reference. I'm popping hard for it. So, the people in the crowd were popping hard for that. And that was like a reference from like 40 years ago. And look, then another thing, he keeps saying, oh, it's hot in here tonight. It's like, wait a minute. It's November 28th. And then I looked up. When was Thanksgiving? Thanksgiving was the 22nd that year. So we had an early Thanksgiving. Then I looked up the weather. Cut to that picture. Boom. It was 64 degrees that day. It got a little cooler at night. Said the low was 32, so unseasonably warm. Background. Who else is deep diving like that? I am. I want to know everything, because this is down the street. I should have filmed this damn thing down the street. Maybe I'll go drive past it later. Yeah, I'm glad I didn't try filming here, because it was kind of a bitch to... I'm in like a no parking zone, so I'm just going to film this and run away. So the video would be incomplete if I didn't film this. What else? What other notes I got? Yeah, Gene always kills it live. You never hear him bad. Paul's always all over the place. Eric Singer was a beast. This is my thought. If Eric Singer didn't die, would they have brought him back would they have brought back Peter Criss on the reunion? They probably would have kicked Eric Carr out. But would he have been back after that? Would they have brought him back instead of Eric Singer? Would they have brought him back instead of Eric Singer for the later years? Bring him back. And then would they have let him be the Fox? What do you think? I don't know. What other we got? What other things we got? I wanted to hear the Rock and Roll All Night solo. That was the one I wanted to compare and contrast. He did stick pretty close to the Alive version, because the studio version didn't have the solo on it. So he did kind of stick to it, but he didn't get it perfect. I don't know if he was trying to, put his own stank on it, or he just didn't bother to learn it all the way. That's what I always look for in these bands. Like Tommy Thayer, he'll play it like perfect, just like the album. But when other bands, like my favorite live album is like Deep Purple's worst live album, Last Concert in Japan. I have like the full double disc restored version. I forgot what the hell they called it. Reference there. Oh, This Time Around. I don't even need that. But Tommy Bolin went way off. It seemed like in the 70s nobody cared about like following the album. They just did their own thing. But this guy, I wanted to see how he did. He didn't get hardly any room to improv on there or nothing. So that was the one. That was the main solo I wanted he wanted to do. And what other notes I got? It was too hot on stage for Paul Stanley. Bunch of local references. I think I covered this. I think we deep dived a little hard in this. Let's read off the rest of this. I don't think I did. Young and Wasted. I Love It Loud. They did a lot of like Creature stuff, a lot of recent stuff back then. They were kind of moving away from the 70s, I guess, and a lot of the makeup period. Love Gun they had to do. Black Diamond. Black Diamond, I was surprised at how many times they do that every tour, and I was figuring like I Was Made for Loving You, but they didn't bring that back till later. I guess because now they'll never do a concert without that song, or not anymore. They stopped doing concerts. But I don't think they brought that back until was it on the Revenge tour, or was it on Hot and Shade? But they brought that was a lot of songs were missing. Oh yeah, then they do Oh Susanna. Yeah, Oh Susanna. They rehearsed that. They could have thrown another song in, but they do that weird little jam, or they could have did a better jam. Yeah, it's kind of interesting. And they actually sound like they had to sit and learn that. Gene's playing bass to that. Like, you know, he's not just improv and screwing around. They sat and practiced that in band practice and stuff. And then they go to Lick It Up, and then it's rock and roll all night. So it's kind of a very, like, now they'll play almost their last tours, the farewell tours, and probably the last 15, 20, there was hardly any 80s songs. There was probably like 3 songs. So this, you get a lot of stuff. And it was kind of a short, I forgot how long this album was. Kind of short. It's probably only like an hour, 15 minutes or so. And what was the opening acts were Queensryche, and who else was the opening act? I don't remember. I think Crocus was on some of them, and whoever those were. So they were probably taking up their time. And like Poughkeepsie's a real B town, so they're going to Binghamton next, and so it wasn't like the biggest venues. Although Poughkeepsie used to get a lot of like heavy hitters come through. It's not that much of a big venue now. Like WWE used to come through there. Maybe if their business like slows down a bit. Right now they're selling out everywhere. Maybe they might come back to this area, but nah. Kevin Hart Stranglers are going to be playing here this weekend. Figure that's he's way too big for that. They're charging like $200 a ticket though. So I don't know. I rambled on for 16 minutes on this album. Because we had to deep dive. We had to like analyze stuff. I had to give you the weather report of when this live album took place. Is it essential? No. It is for me because I'm local. But also, if you're like a hardcore person, you want to analyze stuff, you got to get like all this stuff. You need to listen to this one. It's kind of an essential like bootleg. Not like a top bootleg, but like, you know, top 15, top 12 kind of bootlegs. You want to hear what they... I want to hear a Vinnie Vincent lineup one from this era. So let's do that. So like, share, subscribe. Let's do all that. This video way too long. Thank you.